And it's Candace, and we're back with a herb pot now. I have a terracotta pot, which is going to be just fine for the summer. I have a sage, I have a rosemary, and I have a thyme. And sometimes people have a hard time putting the soil and their plants together, and they get really nervous about it. One of the tricks you can do is put your pots in the pot and then put all your soil around it. Then you can pull out the pot and you actually have the depression where you know your plant's going to go. And you can pull it out. Ooh, this is a really good one for seeing how the roots are growing in a circle. So just tease them out. Pop them in there. Here is the thyme. And again, this has got a lot of roots on the bottom, which is going to be hard for me to pull through, so just tear it off. It's not going to hurt the plant, it's not going to kill it. If anything else, it's going to stimulate it to say, hey, I lost some feeder roots, I need to grow some more. And a gentle tug. And again, pull some of these. If your pot doesn't feel like it's going to be deep enough, you can actually just chunk off a bunch of it and then pop it in. So like I said, don't be afraid. You don't want to take off probably more than a quarter or a third of the bottom of that plant, but it's certainly not going to kill it. And the rosemary, he's fine. Now this is a smaller pot, but there is nothing saying that you can't jazz things up. You always leave about a ½ inch to an inch of soil down below the lip of your plant pot, because when you go to water it, you want to make sure that the water stays inside the pot. If your soil's right level with the edge of the pot, then when you water it, it's just going to go over the edge. It's not going to be nice. But there are all sorts of things that you can do to jazz this up if you wanted to. You've got different colored rocks that you can sprinkle on. You've got fir bark. Typically you find that where you, in the orchid section, because they use a lot of fir bark, the fine fir bark for orchid mixes. And it's just lovely. But I thought for this one, I'm going to do the white rock, I think, just because it looks good. I like the bright. This will act as a mulch so that when I go to water it, it's going to stay wet longer. Terracotta pots are notorious for sucking up the water and having it evaporate. So you only usually plant things in there that can handle drought or like their roots a little bit drier. Hey, I might even have enough. Ha! And you can use bigger rocks. Yeah, let's talk while you're scraping rocks out of the bottom of a bowl so you can all hear me. But something like that, I think that looks pretty. I think it looks charming. If it's not enough for you, you can tweak it up like that. You could put in a couple of really big rocks. It all depends on what you want to do. You might decide that you want it a little woodsier looking, and you can chunk in a great big old piece of wood with some moss on it. Entirely up to you what you want to do. Stick in some curly twigs. Make it look, I don't know, just natural. The only thing you would have to be concerned about with this is when you cover your stuff, when you cover your plant pots with mulch, it's going to be really hard to tell when you need to water it. One of the things you can do is after you water your pot, and you know it's soaked and drenched, lift it up. See how heavy it is. And that way, if you're going out in the afternoon, you go, wonder if it needs to get watered. When you pick it up and it goes whoosh, then you know you need it. Or the other thing you can do is use a bamboo skewer. These work really well. You just put it in the soil and you leave it there for about 15 minutes. Then you're going to pull it out. If it looks wet or you've got little pieces of soil sticking to it, then you know there's enough water in there, leave it alone. If it comes out looking brand new and dry, then yeah, you need to give your plants a really good drink. The other thing is if you don't have a skewer, most people have spaghetti. Stick your spaghetti in there. You can leave it for 10 minutes, pull it out. You will know for sure that it's way too wet and you don't need to water it if you forget your spaghetti, because it gets so wet when you go to pull it out, the wet part stays in your pot and the rest comes out. The other option is when you use spaghetti, you can just break it off and you've still got something to keep on going for a long time. So anyway, that's just another idea of things that you can do if you don't have a lot of area. Looks great on a patio or a balcony. And that's the herb pot.